Okay, guys, this is it. We're putting it together even more. We're going to take the sketch that we built up from our blob into a bot, and now we're going to throw some paint on it. Not literally, but I guess it depends how you work. For example, right now I'm working on my tablet in a program called Clip Studio Paint. Now, if you're working digitally, you could be working in Procreate, Photoshop, or there's half a dozen others that are pretty common, right? If you're working traditionally, maybe you're working with markers. I got a whole bunch back there, and this will be a different process for you. I'm not really going to talk to you about the process so much as like the mechanics of the process, meaning however you're coloring is kind of up to you. We're just going to talk about kind of the concepts and why we're approaching things a certain way. Okay? So put out that disclaimer, and now we're going to jump on in here. Okay, so I've got this little bot and I've got a few little things below it, right? There's some things that I like about this bot and some things that I don't, for coloring wise and everything, right? Right now it's just a gray, which is fine, but that's not the gray that I want overall. What I want is kind of I'm going to go with a gray metal. So I'm just kind of selecting off to the side here, see if I could find the metal choice that I'm looking for. Sometimes I'm using markers and stuff, right? Okay, so let's see if this does it. That's closer to what I wanted. Maybe even more of a blue. What do you got? What do you think, guys? Yeah, that's more of what I want. Okay. So now that I've got that, that's going to be my base color that I've got laid down everywhere. Beyond that, that's not going to be the color everywhere, right? Like I don't want that to be the color all over this thing. What I want is some black spots. So I'm actually going to come and this program has this awesome fill bucket that I can kind of just jump into, right? And let's see, I'm going to fill these feet. Feet are kind of like rough and tumble, and so they're going to be black or off black or something, right? Okay. So we've got that. Maybe I'll throw that in there for good measure, and I'll stay consistent with some of the color schemes here, right? Like so, um, I'm trying to use this one off black through a lot of what I'm doing here, if it works. Maybe I'll even use it inside these things. You can tell my line work was a little sloppy. I didn't quite fill all the holes and stuff like that of what I was doing here. So as I'm filling up using this program, it spills over into the other sections. If I was being more careful, that wouldn't be happening as much. Okay, so I've kind of got this, right? Let's see if we back out. It looks like a chicken for some reason. I think it's the way the legs are done. Chicken-esque. Chicken-esque legs. That's esque, just so the pronunciation is clear for you. Okay, I'm going to switch this up and go a little bit darker. And maybe come in here and do that, right? And maybe do this part on the leg. And you know what? This is supposed to be just a wire, so that's not really working for me. Okay, so I've got that part. The window itself is going to be this kind of lighter shade, right? With even lighter parts as this kind of reflection. Good enough. The window railing, maybe I'll make it a little bit metallic. See if I can fill this and be cheap with how quick I can do it. I don't know if that'll work. That's kind of working. And I'll keep that metallic theme going throughout, right? There we go. Cool. You know what? I'll use this on the hinges too. Oh, that kind of spilled over there a little bit. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, I keep kind of backing out and taking a look as I roll back and say, does this look kind of the way I want it to, right? I want this radar thing to be a similar color, but a little bit off. So I just color picked it and then jumped off of it just a little bit there, right? Cool. Inside this mesh part, that's going to be ugly to fill. But let's see if I can do it. Oh yeah, that got ugly. You can see how, like, if you're coloring, whether it's markers or whatever, you're just kind of like, actually coloring, I don't know, it's fun for me. I've always had fun doing it, coloring as a kid and everything. And so it shouldn't be that tedious for you. It should be just, I don't know, filling in the empty spots, right? But it also starts to be a color, like a bit of a choice, right? Once you get into, that went wrong. Once you get into color theory and stuff, you're choosing certain things, right? Right now, I'm not using a lot of color theory. I'm using complementary colors a little bit, triadic combinations, but really I'm trying to keep this really nice and just more design oriented. That I'm like, okay, well, what would look cool here? And that runs a little counter to what I was saying about form follows function, but not totally, because this scout is going to be in a war zone or whatever, and so like I'm playing that up a little bit, right? Okay, let's see if I can color in these lights. These lights are kind of a yellowish spotlight. These lights inside here. Like I said, I was looking at the new Ford Broncos the other day and kind of getting slightly inspired by the way they did their headlight combinations. I thought it was, in the dark, it's a cool look to it. I don't necessarily love the Bronco, but you can take design inspiration from pretty much anywhere, right? Nope, not liking that. I'll just have to draw it in. What do we think on this front section? Do we want to keep that the same color, or do we want to lighten it up a little bit? Or darken it up a little bit, I guess. I don't know. A front grille, I feel like it should be a little darker. Looking at it right now, I feel like I'm going to pick this color and then just go a tad darker on it and see how that reads. Yeah, that worked out well. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, so we've got that. I want this this chain gun down here to be black in the barrels. Black all the way through in that. Cool. And then this part can be a little, I don't know if I like that. There we go. And maybe the housing will have that similar color pattern. Yeah, that looks all right. And one more back there. There. Okay. So as far as coloring goes, I'm liking how this looks, right? I think maybe if I want to, I can add something like a stripe. Maybe see if I can go a little bit and have like a stripe coming on the outside here. And if I'm going to have a stripe there, it's sometimes good to be consistent with it. Where else might I put a stripe? Something like there. So doing it on the other side here. Right. That's not bad. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we're looking good on this so far, right? I think it's a cool looking machine. Now what I want to do is add a few little little extra tidbits to it. So I've got this red star. I'm going to transform it. Let's go with a free transform. And just kind of line up where it might fit in perspective. You can see how this is so easy on a computer. If you're doing it manually, good luck. You can see I'm kind of matching the shape of that, right? I'm just going to flip this into a different mode. There we go. And put that star there. I'm going to put, where should the CCCP go? The numbering I was thinking was like, transform this again. Where do I want to put it? I was thinking the numbering under the cockpit here. Somewhere in that. That looks pretty good there, right? I'm just going to fade it out just a little bit so it doesn't punch too hard. CCCP. I wanted to put it on like this flap or something, but I almost think it's too obvious. Let's see. I was thinking on that flap. I could lay it down there. No. What do you think, guys? Where should this go? Maybe really small right above here. Yeah, something like that, right? There. Okay. So now I've got a bunch of these decals on. See if this, how this looks. Yeah, I think that kind of works so far, right? I think it works. I like those the muted look on the decals, right? And now what I'm going to do is, sometimes when we have metal, we have kind of a bit of a scraping to it, right? So what you can do is you can add some texturing over top of some of the metal or something like that. And then you can do something like a blend, a blur, a fingertip. Oh, that's too large. Let's see if this fingertip, oh, that was too much. What I want to do, that's not working the way I want it to. What I want to do is be able to stretch it. No, it's still not doing what I want it to. Let's see if this does it. There we go. And we're just getting a little bit of patterning down on this. So it looks like there's just a little bit of stuff happening on it. Okay. Once we have that, we can just stretch it out just a little bit. So they're just faded off, right? You can also put something like little scratches on here, different things like that. And then you can fade them off if you want or something, right? And just back it way back. There we go. So all of this adds just a little bit of texture and depth to the machine itself, right? Once we do that, now what I'll do really easily here is I'm just gonna add a little bit of shading. See if this works for you. So right now it looks blue, and this will be a really fast way of looking at it. Let's say the light's coming down from, I don't know, where do we want it? Up top to the left, maybe? Okay, so that means this largely will be lit up. This largely will be lit up. Here, we're going to have some light on this. There's going to be light in here. We'll do those circles a little bit more. There's going to be light touching on here, maybe a little clip here, light here, right? Light on this leg, light coming in here, light on this foot, light touching here as well, light touching a little bit here, light touching a little bit there, maybe back here just a little bit, back here, and around there, right? So if the light's coming from this left side, that's about what it'll be touching. Maybe I'm going to have to put some on the gun as well, right? Anything else that light might touch or might not touch? Well, what it would do is, like, let's say these are rockets in here. I could start to, shade in the cylinder a little bit. Let's see, this isn't looking beautiful yet, but I have a feeling it'll be better than you expected. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. So what do we think? Is this going to work? There we go. That's a cool looking mech, right? You can see some texturing on it. You can see all the work that we put into doing a mech. And that is how easy it is. Guys, we can add to this. We can put transformers, we can do whatever we want. But once we've got this down, some of these basics, this is how easy it gets to be drawing mechs. Like, seriously, look at this. When it came to the end of this course, all it was doing was pulling all the stuff that we had already learned together and slapping it on our blobs, on our blocks, right? We already learned how to draw blocks. We learned how to articulate things. We looked for pivot points and joints, right? Then we looked for references and how to add it on. And now we know how to finish it off. I gotta say, this was pretty awesome, and I think it worked out really, really well. I want to see the mechs and bots that you guys come up with, and make sure you send them my way. Whether it's traditional on paper or digital, it doesn't matter to me. I want to see some of these cool designs. Okay, guys? So, hope you had fun with this, and let's transform into some mechs.